Welcome to Rediscovering Childhood, a podcast for teachers, parents, and education leaders who believe childhood should be protected, respected, and truly understood. I'm your host, Mireia, founder of Discovery Playtime, educator, and passionate advocate for play, creativity, emotional well-being, and connection. Each episode brings you thought-provoking conversations with inspiring guests from Ireland and around the world, exploring childhood, education, parenting, behaviour, emotional development, creativity, neurodiversity, and the future of learning. This podcast is here to challenge outdated thinking, spark reflection, and help us create a world where children don't just achieve, but truly thrive, while making sure we have fun along the way. Welcome back to Rediscovering Childhood. Today, we are traveling north to a country that has become almost legendary in the world of education, Finland. We've all seen the headlines about Finnish students having no homework and the highest test scores, but what is the actual daily reality for a child in a Finnish classroom? Joining me today is Heidi Verkama, a primary school teacher in Finland who specialises in teaching Swedish and English. Heidi is here to pull back the curtain on how this system works. From the 45-15 rule, I think that's fascinating. I love that. And that gives every child a 15-minute break for every 45 minutes of learning, to the deep-rooted cultural belief that play is the most important work of childhood. So Heidi, very welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I'm going to ask you straight away. Everybody talks about how amazing education in Finland is. Would you agree, and could you tell us why?
Well, I think I can agree, yes. But of course, you have to keep in mind that we also have the same issues. Children are the same everywhere. There can be whatever issues, but I think I can agree because most important thing is that in Finland, I think the education is based on trust, that everybody trusts the system. I think that's the most important. And we highly trust the teachers, that they do their task and their job properly, and that we want to give our best for the children. And then also, I think parents and families trust that whatever comes, that school can help them and the system behind, so that there is social workers and counselors and so on, that we can help them, whatever comes in their lives. And then, of course, one of the basic things is that we are really structured in a way, as you said, that we have like 45 minutes lesson, and then after that we have a break. And we believe that when you create a calm environment and you have a basic structure, so it's easy to follow for the kids, and they feel safe and they feel that they are appreciated in that way, that there's a structure and they know what is going to happen next. So, for example, basic classroom teachers, when they start the lessons or the day, they always go through the day, what date is it and what is going to happen today, how long we are going to be at school, and if there is something special going on, so the kids know, and they can always have a look at the board, that they see what kind of things they are going to have today.
That's amazing. A lot of things you said there that are really, really important, because it creates that safety, but also the sense of belonging and feeling seen and heard, and predictability as well. So the first thing you mentioned there is trust. I think that's really, really important, that trust the system, trust the teachers, trust the children, and trust the parents. And it sounds like that social workers, everybody is on the same page. I think that's essential, because otherwise what happens is that everybody starts blaming everybody. So parents blame the teachers and teachers blame the system, and then children are like in the middle of everything. What helps you build that trust? What helps parents? And would you think parents are on the same page as children, as teachers, in relation to supporting the children? So what creates that trust? What are the things you do on a daily basis in relation to parents, or with support, or maybe training for teachers, in a way that everybody is on the same page, trusting each other?
Well, I would say that because I'm also a parent, so the first thing is that you teach children at home that school is their work and they go to work every day. That is your most important task to do, that you go to school and you learn all the things, and that you appreciate what you are given, and also that the teacher is a safe adult who you can trust, and also that you have to obey the teachers and the adults at schools, so that also that creates a sense of safety. I think that when you go to school that the adults are trustworthy at school, and everybody the trust is also a thing that if we have rules, everybody trusts that we obey them. Also the teachers follow the same rules that we don't have. For example, I have the same rules in my classroom as my colleague has in the other classroom, so the basic rules are the same. So that is also a thing that way it's really easy to follow the day for the kids, I think. So
Yeah,
everything starts from home, that we both trust, that everybody trusts that we do our own work properly. That's the basic thing to. And then
that's
also that school is a place where you can be yourself, and that we meet the kids and we are interested in them. For example, I know many things about my kids, and that is also the main thing, that when I get a new group, I always think that when they start telling that, you know what, yesterday evening I did this and that, and last night happened that, and next weekend we are going to do this and that and that. So then I know that these kids trust me, and they think that I'm an adult that they can talk to, and that they can share their daily life and what is going on. And then it's also really easy for me to see if something is wrong, if something is bothering them, if they are not feeling well.
I
Mm.
absolutely love that. And it's really important because it's that connection that's going to create the safe space for them to want to learn. If they don't feel safe because they can't trust you and they can't tell you what they're worried about or what bothers them or all these things, they're not going to be in a space where they can learn. So
Yeah.
it's important. And a lot of the time, I think teachers it's so busy. It's such a busy world that children telling you about their day can feel like a distraction. So they're distracting you from teaching, when in reality, it's an investment in creating more learning and more better teaching.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing, because let's face it, kids learn by themselves if you create a safe space for them. Nowadays, I think parents they have a lot going on, and we are busy. The lives are a lot different when I was a child, and therefore it's really important then that at school there is a quite slow and a certain pace we move on, so that there is also room for relaxing and like breathing on your own. And then also I think that we go outdoors, that we have the breaks outside. So that is also really important for them, that they can play freely and relax. And then they come to the classroom, and then it's time to do their work, so to say.
Yeah. Let's talk more about this 45, 15-minute
Mm.
structure. Why is that in place and how does that help children and behavior and everything, really, their own well being in the classroom and the learning, the concentration, everything? Why is that there? How does that work? And how does it help?
I think the main point is that it's there because it's good to have breaks. We adults know that it's good to have breaks, and then that they go out so they get fresh air and they can feel creative, because during the winter we have a lot of snow, at least here in the Northern Finland. So they play in the snow, and then the schoolyards are built that way that kids can play a lot. We have like different kind of equipment for them. We really appreciate movement, and that they could run and play basketball or whatever. And also I think that it helps kids who have problems with concentration, so that they can rewind in a way, because movement creates also relaxation in a way that you are feeling more able to concentrate. So that is
And it's
the main thing, I think, that it's really important. And also that they have time during the day that they can be social with their friends. They can talk freely with classmates.
That's really good. So every hour they do 45 minutes of more traditional or quieter
Mm,
learning, structured learning,
yeah.
and then 15 minutes of free play. And also they know they're able to concentrate for longer because they know the break is coming.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if they have to wait 3 hours for their break, they're gonna talk in every opportunity they get. So
Yeah.
this way, they're able to contain themselves a little bit longer, knowing, and that also builds their concentration span and focus because it expands, it pushes them to, okay, just 5 more minutes and then I get my break. So it's that self-control as well and self-regulation. I think this is amazing.
Yeah, I think it works quite well. Of course, it sometimes my kids complain that it's so tough to always like they counted how many times they put on their winter jackets during the day. I've put on my winter jackets six times today already, so I'm not going out this evening anymore. But still, I think it's really useful that they, and also that way they get a lot of exercise during the day without noticing. So that is also
Yeah,
really
even
important.
if it's just zipping and unzipping their jackets.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, and actually that's something that we find a lot here is that children, they find it really challenging to be independent, as in put on their own winter clothes, tie their shoes, put on their shoes. So is that something you promote a lot for children, to be as independent as possible and dress
Yep.
themselves, do their own thing, take responsibility for their duties and chores in the classroom or
Yeah,
at
I
home?
think that starts already at daycare. For example, I'm really grateful for Finnish daycare because my children have learned there how to tie their shoelaces and how to wash hands properly and everything, like how to use scissors really well. They do a lot of things already at daycare and then at preschool, because in Finland preschool is a must. Everybody goes to preschool before they start school. So at the age of 6, so 1 year for preschool. So that way independent is really important because I think it's easier to come to school when you have this kind of trust that you know that I am able to do this. I'm big enough. So I always remember my kids saying that I'm really old because I know what I need to choose today, and then I can go by bike to school on my own, and they really feel that they are like taking responsibilities.
And
And I
then
think
that
it's really good for your self-esteem as well.
exactly, it impacts their self-esteem because they feel so proud of themselves, and then they don't have to be trying to get our attention as much because they feel trusted, so they don't have to show you constantly of how capable they are of doing
Yeah.
things, prove themselves. Very good. So let's talk about preschool starts at 6 years of age. Let's talk about the transition between different schooling period. So tell us what happens from 0 up to 18. What is the schooling process journey?
The journey. Well, first you can go to daycare, and then at the age of 6, you have go to preschool. When I was 6 years old,
0
it
to 6 is daycare only,
yeah,
and it's
0
optional.
to 6, yes, it's optional, yeah. But then everybody attends preschool. When I was 6 years old, it wasn't obligatory. So
Okay.
I think I was at preschool perhaps a couple of days because I'm born on a farm. So I thought that it's much more fun to play outside than go to preschool. So
Yeah.
I could choose. But then nowadays kids go to preschool, and quite a lot of preschools are at schools. So they will see kids already who are going to school, and then they play on the same playgrounds, and they go to the same school canteen to have lunch. Preschool, I think it's around 4 hours every day. So
Okay.
before and after preschool, kids can go to daycare if they can't go home.
Okay. And
And
is
then,
that's when children turn 6 years old, they go to
mhm,
preschool for 1 year.
yeah, for 1 year. And the year they turn 7, so then they go to school.
Okay, so everybody in the classroom, all the children in the classroom are kind of the same age. They're turning the same
Yep.
age in the same year. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
That's something that's different here. Parents could choose, they get 2 years of preschool.
Mm-hmm.
So like my daughter is now 11 and there are some kids turning 10 now. She's gonna be 12. And they're all in the
Ah,
same
okay.
classroom, different ages in the same classroom. So yeah, I suppose it has all its advantages because it could be developmentally. at the
Yeah.
same level, even though your age is different?
Hmm.
Whether your age might be all the same, but some might be more mature.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
that's
Mm.
interesting. And then once they turn 7, then they start first year of primary school. That's correct?
Had in Finland, it is possible to go to preschool for 2 years if they discover that, for example, the child is having um, is learning more slowly the things that you should learn by the age of 5, for example, or by the age of 4, or they have some kind of disabilities or social needs. But then again, the research have found that it didn't make any results, like any really, really big results, that it doesn't play a big role if you spend 2 years at preschool or only 1 year.
Okay, that's very
So
interesting.
yeah,
So they could still move on with their
yeah,
peers and maybe have
yes.
some extra support in the
And then
classroom.
yes, then they will just have more support at
Mm.
school.
Yeah, I suppose if they stay, it could impact their self-esteem as well, as in why are my friends moving on, and then I have to make new
I
friends
think so too.
delay
Yes.
their development. Yeah. Okay. So then that's then 6 years, first to 6 years in primary school, and then they move
Uh,
to secondary.
Secondary school, yes, which is 3 years,
Okay.
grade 7, 8, and 9. And then
That's
after that, so we everybody needs to go to vocational college or upper secondary school, so that they then take A levels.
okay. So I suppose that'd be the same here when they do their junior cert and then they move into maybe a level 5 or apprenticeship, and then or they might go to fifth, fourth year. Yeah. And then on to
Yeah.
college.
So altogether, 12 years of school
Right.
is what you need to go through
Okay.
the system.
And you are teaching Swedish and English. So
Yeah.
talk to me about that. So is the main teacher in the classroom and then you have other teachers coming in to teach specific subjects in primary?
In primary school, we normally have like classroom teachers who are responsible for the classes, and then I'm like a star coming to the classroom 2 hours per week, approximately. Yes. So in Finland, primary schools are basically that way, that the classroom teacher teaches every subject, but however, English and Swedish are taught by a subject teacher normally. And then when they go to secondary school, so they only have subject teachers, no classroom teachers.
Okay. And is there any other subject teachers in primary school or only Swedish and English?
Mostly only in languages. But however, in some schools, there might be subject teachers, for example, in PE, I would say, but normally not. So the
Okay.
classroom teachers go through an education where they are then able to teach everything. So I admire them. I think they are superstars.
Yeah, it's a
Doing
lot.
everything, taking care of the class and staying in contact with the parents, pulling everything all together. So it's amazing.
Yeah. How quick we forget about all the different things they do.
Yeah, we have this joke that when you are a teacher, so you need to be a lawyer and a teacher, of course, and then you need to be a priest and a nurse and a school counselor and the principal even
The
sometimes. So it's
security
really,
guard.
yes, yeah, you name
Absolutely.
it.
Okay, very good. So now, how many hours do they spend in a classroom, and how many kids could we find in a classroom?
In my city, approximately 20 kids in a classroom, more or less. But however, in southern Finland, I know that there are really big classrooms also. But we are trying to make them small, something around 20.
That's really good. And then, how
Yeah.
many hours do they spend in school, in primary school, on average?
They start something around 18 hours per week. And then when they go to a secondary school, so it's 30 hours per week.
Okay, so 18 hours per week. Is that 4 hours per day?
Something like that. 4 hours. 4 hours, yes, approximately. Hmm.
Per Okay. Would kids have homework? Because we've read on the headlines they got rid of in Finland. Finland got rid of homework. Homework is useless.
No, we have
No.
homework. We have homework. I think that's one of the things that why we success is that we give homework. However, the homework is really like it's a revision for the things we did at school that day. They are quite short, perhaps not easy sometimes, but so that you don't have to spend that much time on them. But I think that it's one of the most important things that if you want to learn something, that you have to do repetition.
And also because they only spend 4 hours in school. Here, kids spend 6
Yes,
hours in
yes.
school. So
Yeah.
I find that 6 hours plus homework plus after school activities, it's a very long day for children.
It's really exhausting, yes. But yeah, they get homework. When there's at grade 1, so normally homework is reading. They learn how to read because of course that is the main task you need to learn how to read.
So it's
So
something really practical.
it's really practical, yeah. They have their math books, they count or then they read something. And for example, in English, they might have a homework that read the text from the textbook to your parent or your teddy bear or something like that. And of
That's
course, we have like really, really good books in Finland. I think that's one of the main things why we success is in teaching because we can rely on the books because they are really good quality so that we have more time to think about the methods, how we teach and what we do during the lessons and not thinking about like being productive and creating the teaching materials on our own.
So would the books be kind of like a resource, an extra resource to have? So you're teaching your lesson, so you use the book to know what you're teaching, but then you add a lot of extra games and activities.
For example, nowadays, I think in English, the books are that good that it's like the main resource. We have like vocabularies and then we have texts and a lot of like practical exercises in the book so that we can use them. So more and more, I don't need to think about even the games. What kind of games should I create? Because they are in the books already.
Okay. So
So
it's not just for the
they
kids
are
to do.
based, yes, they are based on action and then like learning how to use the language. When I was at school, so it was more like only grammar and then like, oh, you did an error. But nowadays it's more and more that the main thing is that you learn how to speak, to get the
Mhm.
courage that even though I might speak Finnish rally English, so the main point is that I have the courage to speak and I'm understood because it's a tool to be used.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm actually teaching Spanish at the moment in some schools here. And it was exactly like that today where a child shared a word and I said, sorry, I just can't understand it. And it's because of the lack of confidence. She was saying, gato, gato.
Hmm.
I'm not sure. I'm really sorry. Can you spell? And then when she spelled it, I was like, you're saying it really well, but
Hmm.
you're missing the confidence. If you say it a little bit louder, it's perfect. So
Yeah.
I think that's really, really important to share that. And it's great to see how books combine games and it has ideas and activities and it's not just copy and paste and it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't
Mhm.
stay.
Yeah, that's true. Mm.
Even when I think when I studied, I'm from Spain, so when I studied English in school, and for example, one day we learned the colors red, blue,
Mm.
yellow, and then another day we learn names of animals, and then another day names of the planets, and then I could never put a sentence together
Yeah.
because, like,
Yeah, I
yellow,
know what you mean. I know what you mean.
I don't know how to put a sentence together.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's great. Um, okay, so 4 hours in primary school.
Yeah,
You mentioned
when they start school, yes.
you mentioned the importance of outdoor play. Is there learning when playing outside, or is it just free play, or how does that work?
During the breaks, it's free play. But then, of course, we have structured play as well during the PE lessons. And for example, when I teach English, so I always try to when I if I create a game or a play, so it's always like I try to combine movement and then talking and writing so that they get all kind of like that they have to really stress their mind to memorize, for example. For me, it works really well if the classroom is really feeling really like there's a lot of chatting and they are a bit of nervous or like feeling down and not really energetic enough to learn anything. So a really basic task for me is that I might just write simple sentences that we are having like there and there. I have the words that we are learning and the topic, let's say food. So I would write sentences and then if they have to choose do or does, like do you say, does she eat or do you like soup? For example, then I would just write sentences or words on a piece of paper and then I put them in the corridor and then they go there and they read the text and they have to memorize while they are walking back to the classroom and then they write them to their notebooks or say them aloud to me and then they go and get the next one. So, for example, that is really basic task, but the children love it because they can move and then they need to concentrate and they don't feel like learning. Afterwards, they always say, I always remember the words that I had to like pick up from the corridor, they say. So that way it's really easy when we read the text because it's really boring if I give a task that read the text aloud at home 3 times. So we normally do it in the classroom and then we choose what kind of movement do you want? Do you want to jump? Do you feel like sitting under your desk or walk backwards or whatever? Do sit-ups, do push-ups and while reading. So they are really enthusiastic. And then afterwards, the classroom is really, really calm and concentrated and they are like, okay, what do we do next? And then
They're
it's
having
the
fun.
time to push the limit and, for example, try to teach them something new.
That's so good.
Yeah.
And when they're connecting, as you said, I remember the words that I picked up in the corridor or in the hall or in the outdoor, in the yard outside, or because they
Yeah.
make that connection, they're associating things, they're creating little structures in their brains where things connect and stick. And
Yeah,
that's
because I think nowadays we don't really need to learn anything by heart because we have Google. We can always ask Chat GPT or whatever. So it's
absolutely.
really, really important that you need to use your brain. I think that's the most important thing.
This episode of Rediscovering Childhood is proudly sponsored by Maya Purposeful Play and Maya Build Lab, two incredible initiatives built around something we speak about so often in this podcast, trusting children as capable, creative, curious learners. And that's why today's conversation about education in Finland aligns so beautifully with their mission. Because one of the things Finnish education reminds us is that children learn best when they have the space to explore, move, create, collaborate, problem solve, and follow their curiosity. Through sensory play sessions for families, schools, and events, Maya Purposeful Play creates rich, open-ended environments where children can learn through hands-on exploration, imagination, and connection without pressure or perfection. And through Maya Build Lab, children in primary schools work together using Keva planks and the Dream Design Duo approach to develop creativity, teamwork, resilience, communication, and problem-solving skills in a way that feels playful, meaningful, and deeply engaging. You can learn more about Maya Purposeful Play and Maya Build Lab on social media or on their website. You'll find all the links you need in the description below. And now, back to the episode. So true. So tell me what other subjects do they learn in school?
They have like Finnish, their mother tongue, PE, religion. Then we have art and crafts, Swedish, English, and then you can choose optionally German or whatever other languages there might be. History. Am I missing something? Physics, ethics.
Wow. Maths.
Yeah. Maths, of course, yes. Biology, geography.
Wow, that's in primary school. Wow, that's very interesting. Because that would be more secondary school here, those subjects.
This, I can't remember what it's called in English. It's really complicated word, but we have just one subject which combines like all together physics, chemistry, biology, geography.
Okay, we call it STEM here, the science, technology.
Like I think science is a good word for that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And is it all would be practical experiments and as well, like kind of the same examples you're sharing as well?
Yeah, that too.
And is
Learning
there
from the
anything
books,
in
reading and doing experimenting, yes.
is there project-based learning as well or more practical learning?
Yes, I think it varies. At
Mm,
some point, I think everybody has, at some point of the school year, they do some kind of projects where they might combine different subjects that you need to use. You need to count something. You need to know
mm,
how to write and read and search information. But also there is a lot of like basic learning where when you come to the classroom and the teacher gives you advice and we read books and then we do tasks. So it varies. There's a lot of
yeah.
things going on.
Okay. And what about teacher training? How often do you need to do more training to be up to date with the curriculum or new resources or methodologies, or how does that work?
I think we have to do 3 days of like uh, like learning every year, only 3 days. But I think every teacher does more. Like it's
Okay, so 3 days in the school.
in the school, yes, that you have to do that. It's in our contract that everybody needs to do that
And is that within the school hours or is that once the school is closed?
outside the school hours. Outside the school hours, yeah.
Okay. Okay, very interesting.
Hmm.
There's a new curriculum in Ireland this year, so there's a lot of school closure where they close the school so teachers can get their training in the new curriculum, which it's
Hmm.
great that they're getting the training and it's great that it's within their schedule. But from a parent's perspective, it can be really difficult because you have to keep taking days off for teacher
Yeah,
training. So
yeah.
I can see on both sides.
Okay.
So
Okay. In Finland, school is never closed. Never.
yeah.
School is always open.
And free.
It's open and free, and we have free lunch.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Every single school in Finland is funded by the state.
Yep, it is. Yes.
And universities are all free as well for everybody, which creates great inclusion. So everybody can attend school or college
Hmm.
regardless of their background or financial situation. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And then also on the same line, you get schools have free lunches,
Yeah,
free
they
hot
do.
meals. How
Yes.
long have you had that for?
Yeah, I think it came somewhere around World War II, perhaps something around 1948, I would say, even a bit earlier or later on. But at at the late 1940s, it became like nationwide. And the point with that was that we thought that a hungry child cannot learn well. Because if you're hungry, you cannot really concentrate and you cannot learn anything new. And then, of course, after like the post-war poverty was a reality in Finland and malnutrition. So then they thought that it's really good that we have this thing going on, free school lunch for everybody. And the goal was to increase social equality.
And everybody
So
gets that.
everybody gets that, yes. And nowadays, the school lunch is more or less like also an educational moment where we learn how to like have a conversation in the like when we sit down and have lunch. So how can you chat with your friend about things? They can like we ask them how was your weekend and what are you going to do tomorrow. So at least I am trying to teach them how to be social and how to be interested in one another. And then also like that we teach them to taste the food because it's like kind of basic Finnish home food, I would say. So that there are kids who don't really eat that kind of food. They might eat more or less processed food. So it feels strange to eat potatoes and meat.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is also really good. I think it's really great. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I totally agree. And would they have a space designated to go and eat their food and then come back to the classroom, or is that
Yeah, we have school canteens where they have the lunch. Yes.
and is that every school or it depends? Every
Every
school.
bigger
Okay.
school, there is a school
Okay.
canteen. Of course, in smaller schools, they eat in the classrooms, but normally there is a school canteen where they go and have lunch. And after lunch, they have a longer break when they also go out to play.
Okay, okay, very good. And is that do they get the individual meals for each child or do they put on their plates?
They put on the plates, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they have big pots.
Or actually, we can self with the food.
Okay, very interesting. And has that always been the same way?
I think so, yeah.
Right, yeah, yeah. Okay, because here we get well, we're starting to get now. I think the problem here in Ireland is that we follow a welfare model. So
Mm.
it started with schools in disadvantaged areas. So, it seems like those meals are for poor kids, and that's
Mhm.
creating well, it's not a reality, but it's sometimes a stigma attached to how it works here.
Yeah, I
So
can
instead of
imagine.
bringing inclusion, it's kind of even making it worse in some places because parents can opt out, can decide not that their kids won't be getting those meals
Mhm.
because they're not in a situation where they actually need to get free food. So I don't know. There is a lot of conversations going on, but I think
Yeah,
we
I
have.
think it's a that's free school lunch is a really good thing, but I totally get what you are meaning because my mom always she's born 1948 actually, and she's always telling me that she remembers because she comes from a poor family that she remembers how like humiliating it was because at some mornings they didn't have any butter with them because they got the free lunch, but if they wanted to have milk or bread. So they had to bring that themselves to school. So there was only like the lunch was there. So she's telling me that it was really humiliating that at some mornings or days they didn't have any butter. So she only got the milk because she didn't want to take bread because then children got teased when you don't have butter at home. So yeah,
Yeah,
I can understand what you're talking about.
yeah,
So that
absolutely.
is the basic thing because I think it's really increases social equality because it's there and everybody eats.
Yeah. No, and it's great. It's absolutely amazing to have a reference, and I think Japan has a really good model as well.
Mm,
So it's great to see where we're going and to have this here as well now. And you can only improve what already exists. So if we didn't even have what we have, we couldn't improve it because it doesn't
mhm.
exist. So I think having it and now looking at models like Finland or Japan where we can improve it and make it better for everybody, that's really good. And you talked about the education part, and that's something I've heard as well here, that schools who find the hot meal or free lunches time taken away from learning, it's kind of rushing kids to come on, just finish these, or
Mhm.
whether schools and kids don't eat as much food as the other schools that spend more time in that education part of eating. And you mentioned before as well, being grateful for what they receive, manners, that
Mm,
education part with that's attached to eating and food. It's actually really, really important for the rest of their life.
that's true.
And would that be
However, more or less we are having problems with that because the society is changing and the way people think about life and the community is it's not the same anymore. So I think we are facing problems with kids not eating school food because they think it's bad or it's junk.
Mm,
And that is one thing that I'm really, really worried about.
yeah, no, I
Because
totally agree.
I think what school also has if we have other responsibilities and if we are given a free lunch. So therefore we also need to teach them to eat and to teach them like healthy lifestyle too. Because sometimes the families aren't able to do that. Therefore it's our task to do that. Or at least try to give a healthy model.
Absolutely, yeah. Someone has to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one thing, what about what nutrients are they put it in their body, but
Mm,
also you talked about the social skills being developed while they eat.
mm,
And a lot of the schools here in Ireland, I don't know, maybe some schools do it there as well. I'd like to know, will have screens on like maybe YouTube videos or movies or something during break time to keep kids busy, because also we have teachers going on their breaks, so we can't supervise all the classrooms. So that kind of keeps them contained and quiet enough, that kind of supervising with the screens.
Mm-hmm.
So I know it's very complicated here, and like we do the best we can, but I think having the screens on is taking that connection time away as well during mealtime, and also tasting food, appreciating the flavors, or talking about what they're eating. There's a lot could be.
No screens during the breaks. Yeah.
Is that yeah, that's non-negotiable.
That's the basic thing we are doing. I think if you watch videos, it's like it has to be some kind of a like a prize you give if they've done well. So then we can do something like that. But normally not. No, never.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree, because and I think that's just constant distraction, extra dopamine levels in their brain, time away from talking to each other, talking about something that's, yeah, just building connection, building relationships, and learning how to communicate with each other, which is kind of at the core of the curriculum anyway. So
Yeah.
it contradicts a little bit. Yeah. So I know you're doing really well. Finland is doing really well on European testing scores. How do you do that, and how do you assess children on an ongoing basis? What kind of tests do you do? How do you test their progress in the school?
Well, I think the Finnish system is based on continuous assessment, that we don't really trust on like really this kind of high stake exams that you have to take, which would then judge you in a way that whether you can continue in the same school or do you go this way or that way, because I've heard that it can be like that. So it's continuous and formative. And then more and more we are teaching the children to see how they learn and what could they do better, what are they good at, how could they improve, what kind of things could they do next. And this is also the thing that we do with behavior. And of course, we have exams, but they aren't really the main point, the exams. So homework, we have homework. So continuous work, you have to really be persistent when you are learning. And then we have exams and the work you do at school. How do you attend the lessons? Are you involved in teaching? And so on. So everything counts.
How do you help them become self-aware of their own learning and progress?
Well, for example, in English, we when I start a new chapter, so in every chapter we learn something new. So words and vocabulary and then grammar are the basic things that you need to learn, and then put them all together. So we might have this kind of self-assessment, or then we assess with hearts. I have using hearts, like for example, let's say I learn words about food, and then there might be I learn how to say I am, you are. And then, for example, I try to help my friend, or I'm active during the lessons. I do my homework, learn the words or whatever. It can be like both learning skills and social skills. And that way they know what is to come. Afterwards, we might check that how did you manage. And then
That's
also we do this kind of assessment that I show them when they get older. I show them the curriculum on grade 5. We have this kind of things we need to learn this year. And then, for example, when they have exams, so I always have self-evaluation in the exam. Like, okay, think about the last couple of weeks. How has it been? Have you done this or that? And what could you improve? And then always, what are you good at? How did you manage this or that? And what could you do next? Or
that's so
I could
good.
put it in a way that I could like choose different kind of things, and then I put like I need help, I need more help with this, and then they can cross like yes, I do. I need a lot of help. Not really. I'm doing good. I'm doing well, all that way.
That's a very good skill for life that can be transferred onto everything. That self-awareness of what you need, what you're good at,
Yeah.
and being true to yourself. And I really like, and you mentioned that twice actually, about the predictability. So you tell them what they're going to learn and why.
Mm.
And you said that at
Yeah.
the beginning of the day, and then you said at the beginning of the year as well. What are the expectations? And then expectations as well on that self-assessment. I think it's a really nice way to tell them what's expected. Did I help my friends learn
Mm.
this? It's a really nice way to tell them you need to help your friends with this without telling them you need to help your friends with this.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, did I do that?
And
But you're not telling
yeah.
them.
Yeah, and when every lesson starts, so I always tell them that okay, today we will do this and this and this. And for example, because they are really structured, so when they come to the classroom, they think that first we check homework and then we do something else. So I always try to push the limit, and sometimes we start with something else, and the homework. Checking the homework is the last thing we do. But I always tell that, okay, today we are going to learn how to do something. And then, for example, if I know that there are kids who are like waiting something, so I might say, and then the last 10 minutes we will play Kahoot or whatever. Or then we will draw on the board. You can feel creative or whatever. So then it really works because they know what is to come.
And
And
that creates
sometimes even that feels great because they think that okay, I'm really special because today we are doing this and that. It doesn't need to be something really big. Like small things matter, I think.
yeah, I really like that. And it's kind of the same as the idea as the 45-15 minute rule that they get that
Hmm.
time and they know they can predict, oh, that's coming.
Yeah.
So that creates a lot of safety for themselves in the
Yeah.
classroom. Yeah.
Yeah, and they are like more or less anticipating, and then they are also really independent because if I say that today we are going to play some kind of game, whatever, so they know how it works. I don't need
Mm.
to tell them every time. So it's really becomes really easy, and then they might even ask me like, please, can we do this? Because they enjoy something. For example, like just the sentences on a piece of paper. They go somewhere and then they tell them to me because sometimes it might be a huge thing for them to learn how to look the teacher in the eyes and spell something.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's great to be able to understand that. And then you can assess that ongoing assessment is not based on.
Yes, and then there I can do the ongoing assessment. I might say like something. I'd always try to be. The Finnish system is nowadays really positive, and we try to encourage. So I can say like, "Yeah, well done," and then it's also really easy, for example, to correct the pronunciation because it's a play, and only the
Mm.
teachers teach. So I'm not going to be humiliated by the others or like nobody else hears if I say something wrong because the kids are really they are afraid of doing things wrong,
Yeah.
unfortunately, yeah, especially at school.
Yeah. And making mistakes can feel so. They take it. We all do take it so
Mm,
personally that it's but
yeah,
there's something wrong with us or I'm not smart enough or that's when they start creating those
yeah,
self-beliefs. So creating that safety in the classroom, it's so important.
yeah.
And what about regulation? If there is, as you said, you mentioned the different energy levels. So what could you do? Like say the energy is it's too high in the classroom or whatever is going on. Is there or how? Yeah, let's talk about that first.
I found out, at least for me, a thing that always works is that we do some kind of, well, not really gymnastics, but we might do like something like, okay, let's stretch a little bit. And then I always try to figure out something more or less funny or safe. And, and I'm always doing those things with them and making a fool of myself so that they can also find out that it's okay not to be good at something.
Yeah,
So that works always, especially in the early mornings if the school starts at 8 o'clock. So everybody feels tired at that time. So then we first do some kind of things and then some movement basically many times. Sometimes we might just I can give them like, okay, 2 minutes, it's really loud. So you have 2 minutes time to talk everything, and then you have to feel ready to close your mouth and listen.
Yeah, balance is key.
Yeah.
What about the use of screens in the classroom? Would every classroom, most schools have those interactive screens, and would teachers use them a lot, or is it more like human interaction only? Or
Well, yes, we have like normal whiteboards and digital screens also, but not in every school. My school is new and really like modern, but
yeah,
yeah, but I wouldn't say that in every school we do that. It's more like a tool. It's not a big
so it's
deal.
not
I would
used
say
all.
that it's not used all the time, or it might be that we have a look at the book and we have the material on our computers and we show the slides or whatever. But I would say that in Finnish school it's a tool, not the main point that okay, now we're doing something on the screen.
I really like that. I think it's becoming, and that's my own personal opinion, but I think it's becoming, we rely too much on the interactive screens here for everything.
Ah,
So,
okay.
yeah. And one more question I'd like to ask, because I think it's really important how the classroom is set up, like how children are
Mm-hmm.
sit down, if they're in groups of two or four or five, as in a U shape, or what way does the classrooms usually work? How are they organized inside the classroom? Or what areas? Is there different areas that they can go to throughout the session, or how does that work?
Well, I think it depends. For example, at the moment, I don't have a classroom of my own, so I switch classrooms. So there are many variations. Sometimes they sit in the groups, for example, if they are doing project work.
Hmm.
And then for many weeks, they might sit individually to learn how to be like to shut down everything, every distraction, and then just focus on the hard work. And then sometimes they sit in pairs. Um, in language lessons, I think it's really important to sit in pairs because we talk a lot. So it's easier if you have a friend sitting next to you. So it depends on the situation. There isn't really rules because in Finland the teachers are trusted and we have a lot of like space and freedom, which also creates a lot of responsibilities. But however, I think it's really good because there isn't any strict rules, for example, that you should do this way. There's only the curriculum and then you choose how to teach.
I love that. That's really
Yeah.
good.
But there are classrooms where they have created spaces for different kind of things. Yes. So for example, in the back of the classroom, there might be a space where you can go and sit on the
Relax.
floor or do something. It
Very
depends on
good.
the classroom and the kids and the teacher.
And I've seen actually, well, as I've been in Finland many times, and I've seen the yards outside the school are kind of open. Like kids could easily just go home. It's not like closed fences completely enclosed that they can't get out of the school. Or is that only very rural areas?
I would say on the rural areas, I would say there are fences. I'm not sure, but mostly there would be fences.
And I thought kids just that's a lot of trust.
Yeah.
Okay, that was very rural. I was like kind of forest area.
Yeah, there
Yep.
aren't any fences
That
where
process.
I grew up, so there weren't any fences on the
Mm,
schoolyard. We were playing in the forest all the
yes,
time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Very good. So I think kind of the key points that we can learn from what you do and how it works would be definitely them adding more education on the on at during lunchtime and
Hmm.
remove screens and add more connection. The 45-minute schedule, I absolutely love that. I think that's brilliant. Because children learn so much from play. It's not like they're learning and then they're playing. It all goes together. And that free play, kind of they learn something and then you give them a few minutes that they can actually practice what they've learned without even knowing that they're practicing because it might be still in their mind, and
Yeah.
then they use it in their play. Having the speciality teachers, so obviously everything is taught in English here, and then they have their Irish teachers, or I'd come in now with the new curriculum. Kids are learning other languages as well. So I'm teaching
Mm-hmm.
Spanish, so they get the teachers, but I think maybe even having an Irish teacher to come in and teach only Irish in the whole school. And then I think you probably see that how children switch their mind. They know you come in, they switch language in their mind,
Mm-hmm.
whether the same teacher does English and Irish. It's harder to, because you're like, she's going to understand me anyway. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
doesn't push them as much, I think. And then you can be more like do the whole session in that language as well. Delaying the starting school at the age of 6, and more play. And then also you mentioned they learn really practical skills during the early
Mm.
years. It's not just learning and writing already and all of that. It's actually putting on their shoes or zipping up their coat or being kind or social skills. It's really practical. What we kind of a lot of preschools are focused too much on already writing and curriculum and showing parents how good their children
Oh,
are
okay.
doing.
Yeah, because I think the thing that we trust on is the information, like how the brain works and how your body works. So, for example, it's really difficult to learn really good handwriting if you have like issues with your motorics. So you need to learn how to cut with the scissors. You need to learn how to throw the ball and catch the ball, how to walk, how to crawl, and everything, how to jump on one foot, and everything that put all together gives you the really high end skills like writing and reading and like complex thinking.
Yeah,
You need to learn first that, and that is also what I thought, what I said about the movement and stretching. So I always try to do things that are like that you need to use your brain,
I
and
think
that's why perhaps they learn, because they get to play freely, because it's learning. In Finland, you have this saying that it's also school is their work, but mainly so playing is the most important thing that kids should do, and you should value that. However, more or less, the society is coming that way, that kids stop playing
yeah.
at
That's
very young age. Yes. Yeah.
that will be a conversation for another day. Technology is
Yeah.
still there.
Yeah. You should do that kind of discussion with somebody, because I'm worried about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's so true. So true. Stealing their childhood. And that's why we have to all be play champions and remind parents and champion that the important value of play. A couple of other things, it's the universal funding model for schools. They're all funded by the state, so that creates a lot of inclusion and opportunities for everybody. The
Yeah.
autonomy on teachers and the importance of play as well. That's something that's coming in new with our new curriculum here, but you have it so integrated already.
Hmm.
The outdoor mindset as well, the importance of outdoor play. Yeah, it's like, oh, I have to go outside now. It's raining, so yeah, just
Yeah.
go outside. It's amazing. And then the learning predictability. So talking to the children, what is going to happen today, what's going to happen this year, and involve them in that decision making a little bit as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that is one thing that I forgot to say, that even though we as teachers are trusted, but we also trust the kids. The children are trusted, that we trust them, that they are able to do the tasks that we say that we give them at the age level, that at a certain age level, so that you are old enough, that you can do this, you can manage. I know that you can do this. So that is also one thing that is perhaps a typical Finnish thing. However, it might turn that way, that it's if the kid is not mature enough, so it feels it is making a lot of pressure. But however, that is the way we work here in Finland. Like, we are giving quite a lot of trust to the children. Yes. Yeah.
so if you could ask kids if they could change anything to make their world
Mm-hmm.
in school or their life in school better and easier and more fun and more practical, whatever it is, if they could change anything in their school life, what do you think they would say?
Well, firstly, perhaps they would say, let's play more. I want to hang out on my phone. Could we bring our phones to the school? Because
I was
let's,
thinking that, yeah.
yeah. But however, I think if we would give them some kind of a push that they think more, so it would be, please slow down. Because I think
Mm,
that we are living in a really high pace society at the moment. So it's really nice not to have any rush and that you have freedom to think. And also, I would say that they enjoy when they have time to interact with the adults. That somebody is listening to them. Please listen to me. I want to tell you something that this is really important. As I told you about when I said that it's at that point I know that kids trust me when they start telling me about their lives and their families and what kind of hobbies they have, so that I don't really need to ask anymore. They just want to tell me and share their life. So I'm hoping that it would be that. And I kind of think that it would be that also after the phones. If we
yeah.
would do a week only hanging around on our phones at school, and even I would be like this, so they would say, please put down the phone. I want to talk with you. Let's do something. It's boring.
Yeah, that's
So
actually a good
perhaps
idea.
that.
Maybe just give it to
Hmm,
them and then they'll just like, actually, you know what? It's not as good as I thought. Yeah.
yeah. Hmm,
But yeah, I agree. And I really, really, really like what you said about slowing down. I think for everybody would improve
yeah.
our mental health, our well being, our connection, happiness levels, everything. If we could slow down and appreciate more the little moments and see the value of those little interactions, or how much learning, how much is happening actually in those small moments.
Yeah, that's true.
Heidi, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your
Thank
experience. I
you.
think it's been a really inspiring conversation and it's great to see where we're heading. And, there is a lot that can be improved, but let's not forget about all the things we've already achieved. So I think it's nice to learn about each other and see where it's all going.
Yeah, because I think we too need to learn about different kind of systems, what you are doing and how you are solving problems.
Mm,
It's not always the Finnish system that works the best. We also need to learn from others, I think.
absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a nice moment.
Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Rediscovering Childhood. If today's conversation made you pause, reflect, or rethink something about childhood education, parenting, or the way we support children, I'd love if you could help us continue spreading these important conversations. You can support the podcast by following or subscribing, leaving a review, sharing this episode with a friend, colleague, parent, or teacher, or even posting your biggest takeaway on social media and tagging us Rediscovering Childhood. Every share helps more people rediscover what children truly need to thrive, and together we can create a better future for the next generation. See you next week for another meaningful conversation.